কৃষ্ণ প্রাপ্তি হয়ে যাহা হইতে কৃষ্ণ প্রাপ্তি হয়ে যাহা হইতে গুরুমুখ পদ্মা বাক্য চিতেতে করিয়া গুরুমুখ পদ্মা বাক্য চিতেতে করিয়া আর না করিহ মনে আশা
করিহ মনে আশা
আর না করিহ মনে আশা শ্রী গুরু চরণে রতি এসে উত্তমা গতি
শ্রী গুরু চরণে রাতে ऐसे उत्तम गति
श्री गुरु चरणे रति ऐसे उत्तम गति
श्री गुरु चरणे रते ऐसे उत्तम गति
जय प्रसादे पूरे सर्वा आशा
जय प्रसादे पूरे सर्व आशा
जय प्रसादे पूरे सर्व आशा
जय प्रसादे पूरे सर्व आशा
चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से
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 दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित
दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित
दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित
दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित
प्रेम भक्ति जाहा होते अविद्या विनाश जाते
प्रेम भक्ति जहा होते अविद्या विनाश जाते
प्रेम भक्ति जहा होते अविद्या विनाश जाते
प्रेम भक्ति जहा होते अविद्या विनाश जाते
वेदे काय जहा चरित
वेदे गाय जहर चरित
वेदे गाय जहा चरित
वेदे गाय जहर चरित
श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आधाम जनार बंधु
श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आधम जनार बंधु
श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आधाम जनार बंधु
श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आधम जनार बंधु
लोकनाथ लोकेर जीवाना
लोकेर जीवाना
लोकनाथ लोकेर जीवाना हा हा प्रभु करो दया देह मोरे पदचाया हा हा प्रभु करो दया देह मोरे पदचाया देवे जास कुशुक त्रिभुवाना Ebejas Kushuk Tribhuvana Ha ha Prabhu Koro Jaya Deho More Pada Chaya
Ha ha Prabhu Doya Deho More Pada Chaya
Ha ha Prabhu Koro Jaya Deho More Pada Chaya
Ha ha Prabhu Koro Doya Deho More Pada Chaya
Ebejas Kushuk Tribhuvana
Evedas Gushu Tribhuvana
Ebejas Kushuk Tribhuvana
Evedas Gushu Tribhuvana
Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana
Prabhupada Patita Pavana
Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana
Prabhupada Patita Pavana
Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jai Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada
Nama Om Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavari Vastyatare Shatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Srila Prabhupada Guru Puja Ki Jai. Jam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivajakacharyya Shtadhara Sarashishimad. His Divine Grace Sisi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Bibiti Fongdara Acharya His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivajakacharyya Shtadhara Sarashishimad. His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Thakur Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namachar Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंजरार कुंजगीर गोवर्धन की जय। श्री मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। श्री पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथ पुरी धाम की जय। श्री नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। गंगा माया जमुना माया की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। श्रीमद तुलसीदेव महारानी की जय। श्री गदाधर हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक्स डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जय। बृहत मृदंग की जय। श्री परमकांताय गौर चंद्र की जय। सामवेद गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the Assembly of devotees. All glories to the Assembly of devotees. All glories to the Assembly of devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashachari Shatarini. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only ways by which you can attain pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him, ecstatic prema emanates. By him, ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scripture sings of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor and Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, please be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over 3 worlds. We take shelter at your lotus feet. You are the savior of the most fallen. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shrimad Tulsidev Maharani ki jai. Brindaya Tulsidevyaya Priyaya Kesavasacha Vishnu Bhakti Padadevi Sachavatai Namo Namah. Brindaya Tulsidevyaya Priyaya Kesavasacha Vishnu Bhakti Padadevi Sachavatai Namo Namah. Brindaya Tulsidevyaya Priyaya Kesavasacha Vishnu Bhakti Padadevi Sachavatai Namo Namah. Srimati Vrindadevi Tulsidevi Maharani ki. Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Prayasi Namo Namaha. Radha Krishna Seva Pavo E Abhilasi Radha Je tomara sharanaloy Tara vancha pura hoy Kripa kore koro tare Vrindavana bhasi Morae abhila Bilas kunjeriova Nayane ribasara Jugalaru parasi Inivedhanarara Sakiranu gata koro Sevare karare koro nijarase Dina Krishna rase koye jena mara Shri Radha Govinda Premi Sarajinavasi Shri Radha Govinda Premi Sarajinavasi Namo Namo Tulasi Krishna Priyasi Namo Namo Yani Kane Chapapani Brahmachari Kane Cha Tani Tani Pranashante Prarikshana pare pare Yani kani chapapani Brahmachari kani cha Tani tani pranashante Prarikshana pare pare Yani kane chapapane Brahmachari kane cha Tane tane pranashante Prarikshana pare pare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani. Jaya Vrindareve, Jaya Vrindareve, Jaya Vrindareve, Jaya Vrindareve. Vrindareve, Jaya Vrindareve. Srimati Vrindadev Tulsidev Maharani ki. Vrindaye Tulsidevyaye Priyaye Kesava Sacha Vishnu Bhakti Padadevi Sachavataye Namo Namah. Vrindaye Tulsidevyaye Priyaye Kesava Sacha Vishnu Bhakti Padadevi Sachavataye Namo Namah. Vrindaye Tulsidevyaye Priyaye Kesava Sacha Vishnu Bhakti Padadevi Sachavataye Namo Namah. Srimati Vrindadev Tulsidev Maharani ki. O Tulsi, beloved of Krishna, I warang before you again and again. My desire is to obtain the service of Shri Shri Radha and Krishna. Whoever takes shelter of you has his wishes fulfilled. Bestow your mercy upon him, you make him resident of Vrindavan. My desire is that you will also grant me residence in the pleasure groves of Shri Vrindavan Dham. Thus that in my vision I'll always behold beautiful pastimes of Shri Shri Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me a follower of the cohort damsels of Braj. Please give me the privilege of a devotional service and make me a road-made servant. This very fallen lowly servant of Krishna praise may always swim in love of Shri Shri Radha and Govinda. Srimati Tulsidev Maharani ki. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we want to welcome everyone to our Sunday Love Feast here this morning. So just before we continue, we want to inform all the devotees that, as you are aware by now, the passing of His Grace Jagannath Sevaka Prabhu from our lying path, Shri Shri Jagannath Prasad Mandir. So on his behalf, we'll be doing the Sunday program. Every aspect of the Sunday program will be done on his behalf. So we like for all the devotees to, whatever kirtan and bhajans, artik, please remember His Grace Jagannath Sevaka Prabhu, as he has been one of the leading members of our community here in Guyana. So, across the country, we want all the devotees who are joining, both physically at the temple and also for those who are joining online. This is the mood. We are all praying to our dear Lordships, Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra, Shri Shri Paramakarnitai Gaurachandra, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram, Shri Shri Radha Gokula Chandra. They can give full shelter to His Grace Jagannath Sevaka Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prasthaya Amen. Iti nomine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vastatare Shatarine
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare
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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada
Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada
Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada
Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada
Gaur Hari Bo Nitai Gaur Hari Bo
Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Gaura Hari Bo
Hare Krishna. So Hare Krishna to all the devotees once again. So as we mentioned earlier, today's Sunday Love Feast is very special, is that we are going to do the Sunday Feast here as an offering. It will be done on behalf of His Grace Jagannath Sevaka Prabhu. As we are all aware, Prabhuji has passed on just 2 days ago. So for those of you who may not know, His Grace Jagannath Sevaka Prabhu is very stalwart, leading member of our community here in Guyana. He runs the project up in Crabwood Creek, or Shishi Jagannath Prasad Mandir. So I'll just like to give a little highlight of the program this morning, and then we'll continue. So far we have had the Guru Puja or Artik to Srila Prabhupada, Tulsi Artik, and then followed by Kirtan by the boys here, Keshav, Hari Kirtan, Mayapur Prabhu. So we'll be continuing this morning with recitation of one chapter of Bhagavad Gita. We'll be doing chapter 8, which is called Attaining the Supreme. After that, we'll be having some presentations, contributions by various leaders of our members here in Guyana as well as in the Caribbean. So there are devotees who are joining us on Zoom. For those of you who are joining on Facebook, we want to encourage you and your friends you can join on Zoom. We have sent out a link. So we'll be having some short contributions, presentations, reflections on the life of His Grace Jagannath Sevaka Prabhu, and in between we'll be having some kirtan, and if there is sufficient time, we probably have some more recitations as well. So the devotees who are joining on Zoom, please be ready. We will call on you from time to time to make your contributions. But for now, we will continue. We'd like to request His Grace Hari Kirtan Prabhu Mayapur Keshav to please lead us into the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So for everyone, if you have your Gitas with you on your phones, your mobiles, if you have the book, you can follow along. We'll be doing the verses followed by the translation. Hari Kirtan. We also have various family members of His Grace Jagannath Sevaka Prabhu. They are joining with us online on the Zoom platform. So we like to acknowledge the family members joining us all the way from Crabwood Creek, Skeldon area. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Before we begin, we'll do Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Please repeat after us. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Arjuna Uvacha Kim Tad Brahma Kim Adhyatmam Kim Karma Purushottamam Adhibhutam Cha Kim Proktam Adidevam Cha Kimuchyate.
Arjuna inquired, My dear Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the Self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the Devatas? Please explain this to me.
Adhyagya katam kota dehesmin madhusudana prayana kale cha katham yeyosi niyatatmabhi.
Who is the Lord of sacrifice? And how does he live in the body, O Madhusudan? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death?
Shri Bhagavan Vacha Aksharam Brahma Paramam Svabhavodhyatma Muchyate Bhuta Bhavodbhava Karo Visarga Karma Sangyita.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, The indestructible, transcendental living entity is called Brahman, and his eternal nature is called Adhyatma, the Self. Action pertaining to the development of the material bodies of the living entities is called karma, or fruitive activities.
Adhibhutam ksharo bhava purushashchadhidevatam adhiyagyo hamevatra dehe dehabritamvara.
O best of the embodied beings, the physical nature, which is constantly changing, is called Adhibhuta, the material manifestation. The universal form of the Lord, which includes all the Devatas, like those of the sun and moon, is called Adideva. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as the super soul in the heart of every embodied being, am called Adhiyagnya, the Lord of sacrifice.
Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshaya.
And whoever, at the end of his life, quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt.
Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tam evaiti konteya sadatad bhava bhavita.
Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail.
Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhya cha mayarpita mano buddhir mame vaishyasya samshaya.
Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me, and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt.
Abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa nanyagamina paramam purusham divyam yati parthanu chintayan.
He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Partha, is sure to reach me.
Kavim puranam anusashitaram anoraniyam sanusmaredya sarvasya dhataram achintya rupam aditya varnam tamasa parastat.
One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as he who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, who is the maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable, and who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun, and he is transcendental, beyond this material nature.
Prayana kale manasa chalena bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva bhruvor madhye pranamaveshya samyak satam param purushamupaiti divyam.
One who, at the time of death, fixes his life air between the eyebrows, and by the strength of yoga, with a non-deviating mind, engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion, will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yadaksharam veda vido varanti vishanti adyatato vitaraga yadichanto brahmacharyam charanti tatte param sangrahena pravakshe.
Persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkar, and who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation.
Sarvadvarani samyamya manohridi nirudhya cha murthyadhatmana pranam astito yoga dharanam.
The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements, closing all the doors of the senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the life air at the top of the head. One establishes himself in yoga.
Om ityekaksharam brahma vyaharan mamanusmaran yah prayati chajandeham sayati paramam gatim.
After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets.
Ananya cheta satatam yo mam smarati nityashah tasyaham sulabham partha nityayuktasya yogina.
For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service.
Mamupetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashasvatam napnuvanti mahatmana samsiddhim paramam gata.
After attaining me, the great souls, who are yogis in devotion, never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection.
A brahma bhuvana loka punar avartino jana mamupetya tu konteya punar janmana vidyate.
From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again.
Sahasra Paryantam Aharyat Brahmano Vidu Rating Yuga Sahasrantam Tehurat Vidojana.
By human calculation, 100 ages taken together form the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night.
Avyaktaya Sarva Bhavavantyah Ragame Ratyagame Praliyante Tatraivakyakta Samgyake.
At the beginning of Brahma's day, all living entities become manifest from the unmanifest state, and thereafter, when the night falls, they are merged into the unmanifest again.
Bhutagramam sa evayam Bhutva Bhutva Praliyate Aratyagame Vasha Partha Prabhavatyah Ragame.
Again and again, when Brahma's day arrives, all living entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated.
Parastasmatu bhavonyo Vyakto Vyaktat Sanatana Yasa Sarveshu Bhuteshu Nashyatsu na Vinashyati.
Yet there is another unmanifest nature, which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is.
Avyaktoksharit yuktas Tamahu paramam gatim Yam prapya nanivartante Tadhama paramam mama.
That which the Vedantists describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which, having attained it, one never returns, that is my supreme abode.
Purusha sapara partha Bhaktya labhyastvananyaya Yasyantasthani bhutani Yena sarvamidam tatam.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all-pervading and everything is situated within him.
Yatra kale tvanavrittim avrittim chaiva yogena prayatayantitam kalam vakshyami bharatarshabha.
O best of the Bharatas, I shall now explain to you the different times at which, passing from this world, the yogi does or does not come back.
Agnir jyotirah shukla shanmasa uttarayanam tatra prayata gachanti brahma brahma vidojana.
Those who know the Supreme Brahman attain that Supreme by passing away from the world during the influence of the fiery god, in the light, at an auspicious moment of the day, during the fortnight of the waxing moon, or during the 6 months when the sun travels in the north.
Dhumo ratrishthatha Krishna shanmasa dakshinayanam tatta chandamasam jyotir yogi prapya nivartate.
The mystic who passes away from this world during the smoke, the night, the fortnight of the waning moon, or the 6 months when the sun passes to the south, reaches the moon planet but again comes back.
Shukra Krishne gati hete jagata shashvate mate ekaya yatyana vrittim anyaya vajjate punah.
According to Vedic opinion, there are 2 ways of passing from this world, one in light and one in darkness. When one passes in light, he does not come back, but when one passes in darkness, he returns.
Naite shriti partha janan yogi muhyati kasyana tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukta bhavajuna.
Although the devotees know these 2 paths, O Arjuna, they are never bewildered. Therefore, be always fixed in devotion.
Vedeshu yagyeshu tapasya chaiva daneshu yat punya phalam pradishtam atyeti tat sarvamidam viditva yogi param sthanam upaiti charyam.
A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing austere sacrifices, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all of these, and at the end, he reaches the supreme eternal abode. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Har Kirtan and Keshav, to lead us in that chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So as we mentioned, we'll be hearing various contributions by devotees who are joining us here at the temple and also virtually via the Zoom platform. So at this point in time, we would like to humbly request His Grace Dharmaraj Deva Prabhu. He's joining us on Zoom. He's all the way in Essequibo presently. We hope that the reception will be satisfactorily. So after him, we'll be like to request His Grace Rajarshi Prabhu to prepare to go after. Dharmaraj Deva Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can you hear me? I'm hearing you very low.
Yes, Prabhu,
Is there
we
a
are
way
hearing
can
you
turn
fine.
up some volume or? Yeah, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Om Gyana Timrandasya Gyana Janashalakaya Chakshuramitam Yanatasmai Shukipurima Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutalesh Matish Lati Vedanta Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachani Nivishesha Sunyavadi Pachati Deshatani. So, again, it's a great shock and sorrow that we are assembling here to honor the passing of yet another Vaishnava and a prominent member of our society. My deepest sympathy goes out to the family members and the devotees across Line Path and across the country. Personally, I've not had a whole lot of association with Jagannath Sevak Prabhu, excepting for when I was here the last in 2019. And from then on, we have developed a very close relationship. It was at that point we met at the Crane Temple. We had some discussions, and we were able to see eye to eye with each other and understand what I term as our mental framework, how we think, how we are trying to manage our responsibilities. And we developed a close bond, after which I went to Line Path. I spent about 2 or 3 days there, came back, went back again. And one thing that we were able to develop was a very close appreciation for each other. I particularly noted about his demeanor as not only as a businessman, that he was very particular, meticulous, and very focused on what he does, but in his consciousness also. I particularly noted his standard of cleanliness, how many times he would wash his hands with soap and water. This was before the pandemic. So he was very keen about that standard of cleanliness that he portrayed, something that is very needed in our Christian consciousness, that high standard. He was, well, on top of that, at his temple, anyone who goes there, everything was, and is always immaculate, up to when I was there a few days ago. So he kept that, and also anyone around him, his family members, he was always very strict with keeping the standard, well-dressed, dhoti, kurta, shave head, sari, still at every program. I saw signs on his temple there that everyone has to attend the temple programs. No one can lie around or hang around on the outside. So that gives me a lot of appreciation as to who he is or who he was. I was told when you had some training session at HKSE some time ago, he would stay late at night and drive all the way back to Line Pat, and next morning he would be there again, going back and forth. That the tutors, they were amazed to see that dedication and that commitment he showed. So throughout, as we all know, he dedicated with his personal Lakshmi and energy to build that project at Jagannath Prasad Mandir. He put a lot of his own energy and get his family members to work really hard to get that done. And it is described that anyone who builds a temple for the Lord is building a place in his own abode for those such personalities. So from that, we understand that Krishna has a very good place for him. I just wanted to say a little bit as to what went on my last trip with him. I went up there on Tuesday of last week. Actually, yes, it's a Sunday, so last week, Tuesday, went up, we had meetings with his board members, discussing temple matters. And then coming back to New Kalinagram for a series of meetings. But he invited me to go back there on Wednesday for the Prabhupada. And I hesitated that I have so much to do in New Kalinagram, but I decided to drop whatever I'm doing and decide to go back to Line Pat to do the Prabhupada Night program with him and take his association. So after that, we stayed up at about up to 11 at night. We talked, we discussed different matters. Myself, him, and my wife, Radhikun Rani. And we talked about health problems, his diabetic condition, his neuropathy, his pains, whatever he was having. Excuse me. And he told me that he wasn't doing well, that he had a lot of pains that day. So I related that to what we were discussing, that it was his diabetic condition and his neuropathy, what he was talking about. But I noticed that he was down also, he wasn't as blissful as I normally know him. So we spoke, and the next morning at about 5:30, I heard this loud coughing and throwing up. I knew it was him, I knew his voice. So I decided to come down and see what's wrong. But by the time I got downstairs from my room, he was nowhere to be seen. He probably went back inside. So I didn't bother him. I didn't, check with him. And for that morning program, I didn't see he attended either. Normally he would attend all the morning programs and evening programs whenever I'm there. He's always there. So he didn't come to attend the morning programs. He just came to the gate, brought some fruit, dropped it, and left. And then, stranger than that, he didn't come to take prasadam with me, which he would never, ever, miss. We would always take prasadam together. So I thought maybe he was busy with his business and so forth. So about 9 o'clock, that's when we were about to leave, because we want to come to attend the funeral. That's Thursday for Abhaya Prabhu, and then make our way back to Georgetown. So at 9 o'clock when I was about to leave, then I didn't see him around, so I met his wife, Mother Indira, and told her we were leaving, and she said, wait a minute, he's coming. So then he came out, he stood, and we took a picture. I think I posted that picture on the HKSE WhatsApp group. So I took a picture of them. We spoke for a little bit, for about 30 minutes. So at 9:20, I took that picture. and I left. All the while he was like hanging his head over a little bit, so I thought maybe, just he's having a hard day or something with work. He's a businessman. So I left and attended a funeral, Abhay Prabhu's funeral rites. And by the time I got back to Georgetown at about West Coast, just over the bridge, at about 6:30 or so, I got the news that he passed away. So obviously it was very shocking, and I was happy that I went back there and got his final association. I'm probably one of the last devotees who associated with him. So we are all, very sad that we're missing a very prominent member of our movement, prominent member of our society, a well-cultured person, one of the pioneers of our Krishna consciousness in that part of the country. So again, I want to offer our deepest sympathy, condolences, and we were hoping and pray that Krishna give him a very good place in his abode. And as others have posted, I think your GBC have posted, there's that prominent verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, which we also read at Abhay Prabhu's place, Bhagavatam 3:16-37, of the position of a devotee and how we should not be disturbed when these reverses takes place. So we want to sympathize with everyone. We are hoping that we can all manage without the presence of such a wonderful personality. Every member that leaves us is a big loss, because out of a whole country of maybe just under 1 million people, there's only a few devotees we have. So whenever we lose a devotee, it's very, very difficult for us. So much more challenges we're having in spreading Krishna consciousness in this world of Maya. So he would be sadly missed by me and my family. We are very close, a very dear God brother, a very dear member of our society, a very dear member of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya's movement. So definitely a great loss. As far as his personal achievement, I understood he brought a lot of people to Krishna consciousness in that area. He brought his families together to practice Krishna consciousness. We were trying to bridge the gaps with the other devotees up in that area at the moment. He had a lot planned. He had created devotee care programs. We were working on assisting the new Kalinagram Yatra. We had so much plans for his engagement in Krishna consciousness, but obviously Krishna has a different plan. So with this, I'll end here. And again, thank you for doing this nice program to facilitate such a wonderful Vaishnava. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jagannath Sevak Prabhu ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Dharmaraj Deva Prabhu. Thank you for making the great effort to be part of the program this morning, even though it was such a short notice. And thank you for sharing your sympathy and also your memories, reflections on the life of Jagannath Sevaka Prabhu. So as we mentioned, next we would like to invite His Grace Rajarshi Prabhu to please unmute and make his contribution. Hare Krishna, Rajesh Prabhu.
Umagyanatimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I would first like to offer my sympathy, my condolences to the family of Jagannath Sevak Prabhu. I'm very much saddened by the news of his passing. And as Dharmaj Prabhu said, all devotees are very dear, they're very rare. And my memories of association with him, it's very, very, quite touching, to me. Over the years, the Crabwood Creek preaching was conducted by Raghunath Charan Prabhu, and we would just go from New Kulinagram giving lectures, and annually a big Bhagwat hosted by Ganesh Singh family. But then with the arrival of, we then call him Mahin Prabhu, he dedicated, he committed himself, not collecting any funds from the public. His sweat, he built that temple himself. But then, to get association of devotees, he made the place to accommodate traveling preachers, sannyasis, and so on, right in his home above. He made that special room where we would stay. And he would render service in a very personal way, taking care of his guests for many years. To do Bhagwat, I would stay there, served by his family. Despite being a businessman and very busy, he had that time to drive me to the television station. He would take me to the supermarket. We had, such a wonderful association over the years. So to miss a dear devotee, someone who has done such great service for the Yatra and who has provided a facility for the future, for generations to come, the place of worship that he provided will continue to be of service to the people of Lion Path and the surrounding areas. So, again, my sympathy towards the family. He would be dearly missed, the family, the devotees, the congregation in general. But that's the glorious life of a devotee. It is something to celebrate. Devotees are very rare, and to find a person like him who was so dedicated to serving, to rendering service with all his resources. He's a very, very special soul, and we pray that we know that his path is very bright. So we wish that the family members and everyone, they would be able by Krishna's mercy to cope with this, the sudden departure. Thank you all very much for hosting this program dedicated to Jagannath Sevak Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Rajarshi Prabhu, to be here and to make your contribution. So at this point in time, we would like to invite His Grace Paramatma Prabhu to make his contribution, after which we would like to call on Prabhupada Prabhu to follow.
Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshuranvitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Muktam Karoti Vachalam Bhagavan Jaiti Girin Yat Kripatam Ham Bande Sri Guru Dinatarine. Are you hearing me, Sachisuta? There's noise in the background here. That's why I'm using a headphone. Are you hearing me clearly?
Yes, Prabhu, I can hear you.
Sachisuta Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much for scheduling this special program this morning in honor of our dear friend and associate, Jagannath Sevak Prabhu. It's indeed, just like the other speaker said, it's indeed very, very shocking to hear of his passing. I remember when I got the news, I nearly fainted. I couldn't believe. And I immediately, to have some word of solace, I wrote to the GBC same time. And then he sent back some long quotes from the Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, etc., etc. I just finished the cremation ceremony for another godbrother, old godbrother, Abhaya Prabhu. That was on Thursday. And I reached home just after 4 o'clock. And as soon as I took bath, and I was going to take some prasadam, for the day. And then someone called me and gave me the sad, shocking news. I couldn't believe it. I thought that it was some kind of a prank, but I inquired, and yes, it was the reality. I know Jagannath Sevak, Mahen, we used to call him for many, many years, since he was a boy, actually, because I grew up just 2 or 3 houses from where the temple is in Lainpot. And I know his father very well. We used to do many things together. His father's name was Johnny. And I also know his mother. She used to visit my brother's house, which was just nearby. So Mahen was just a little boy then. And then the next time I met I met him was when I was invited to do the groundbreaking ceremony for that temple that landmark temple that they have constructed. There he has constructed along with his family. And I saw the father back there after probably 35 years, and he was old, much older, than I knew him. And then he introduced me to Mahen, and I couldn't recognize that this is the same person that I knew, more than 35 years before. Since then, we had had quite a bit of association. We worked together on many little projects, just like he used to invite me every weekend. I used to go spend the weekend with him doing some training courses, especially the ISKCON Disciple Course. I run that course for over 2 months on weekends. I thought, his life is meant to be celebrated in the sense that he's such a good example. From the first time he was introduced, to Krishna consciousness, he took it very, very seriously. Right? Many people, they will buy the book, they will read the book, and then had so many other priorities in their life. But he took to Krishna consciousness very, very seriously. He used to host many programs even before the temple was established there. And just like Rajarshi said, although we started Krishna consciousness in that area for many, many years, way back in the early 70s, there was nothing foundational. There was no, what like more or less makeshift temples we had in Crowwood Creek. We had 2 temples. Then at Line Park, we had something further up. But this landmark project that he started, and it's like he didn't wanted 1 cent from the public, which is also very, very generous and glorious of him. It's 100% his own money that he used on that for the construction of the entire property. And then there was a guest house on top, and then in his house itself there was like a room or 2 up there for senior devotees, who would visit. So I thought his whole resolve, to become such a wonderful servant of this mission of Srila Prabhupada in ISKCON Guyana is very, very far-reaching. It's very, very outstanding, and it's such a wonderful example. We spoke a lot over the phone, and when I spent weekends there, and I try to inculcate within him that he should develop this temple on the basis of education and training. But he didn't have any trainers, there and like that. And then he took upon himself to become that person, who would have been now and in the future trained up to run these courses. And he went to Mayapur. He registered, to do the Bhakti Shastri. I was surprised that he completed that in quick time. And currently he's on the Bhakti Vaibhava program, which is a long-term program. It will run for several years. But I understand from him that he is keeping pace with all the assignments and like that. And it's mind-boggling for me that he had a business, he had, his family, he had the temple to manage, and still he found time to do these studies and like that. Our last meeting, I know other speakers are there, but there's, so much to be said about him. Our last meeting was last Saturday. Today's Sunday, not yesterday. The previous Saturday, we met at the wedding at Prabhupada Dev's place, and we exchanged just a few words. And then on Sunday, he called me again because he wanted his Prabhupada Murti, the big life-size Prabhupada Murti in his temple, to be completely redone, repainted and everything. And for several weeks, we have been talking about it. But then he told me on Monday morning, that's last Monday morning, he's going to drive up and bring the Murti. But then early, soon after, he called again and said, no, he has commitment and he's going to bring it on Wednesday for sure. On Tuesday, he said, sorry, and he was just so apologetic that he is changing all the time. Then he said, definitely he's going to bring it on Saturday morning. He's going to leave home at 4 o'clock in the morning. If that's an auspicious hour, he was asking me to leave with Prabhupada Murti. That was yesterday, Saturday. So we spoke quite a bit, and one thing I noticed is that his voice was a little low. That's the only thing. But his character trait is that he was such a gentle person, always very humble. It's like trademark, in him. He was such a humble, gentle person, very tolerant, generous. He wouldn't spare, to help the devotees. Devotees used to go speak with him. He would give them, a donation and like that. I remember vividly how I introduced him the first time to his spiritual master, and Virbahu Maharaj. And Virbahu Maharaj would always remind me of that. And that's where the connection was made. Then he got initiated afterward. While he was in India, he got his second initiation. He served as a board member in ISKCON Guyana for several years up to his passing. And I thought his, he made a quick entrance and exit in this great yatra, this Gayana yatra. We would have loved, to have his presence for many, many years more in the future. I mean, 50 is relatively young. He's just 51, relatively young age. And I saw that the GBC, he wrote and said that he is advising that let's do a joint Shraddha ceremony for so many Vaishnavas which have passed over the last year or two at the Hare Krishna Study Center. I wouldn't like to take much more of a time. There's much more I want to say. Let's see, Prabhupada Dev, other devotees would like to speak. There will be other forum that we could express more about his glorious life in Krishna consciousness. But before I go off, I'd like to express my deepest sympathy to his family members, immediate and extended family. I know how difficult it would be for them. We were there last night for the kirtan. We spoke with the wife. We spoke with his son Chris, who just came in the same day. Yeah, yesterday he came in. So let's see how things unfold over the next few days. But for sure, ISKCON Guyana will not be the same with the absence of Jagannath Sevak Prabhu. So I'd like to end here. Again, thank you so much. Thank you, Prabhupada Dev. Thank you, Sachisuta, for hosting this program this morning. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Paramatma Prabhu, thank you for being here and to make your contribution. So before we hear more presentations, we'd like to request Hare Kirtan to kindly lead us into the chanting of a few verses from the Bhishma Stiti. So these are prayers offered by Bhishma Dev in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Iti mate rupakal pitave trishna bhagavati sadvata pungave vibhume swasukamupagate kvachid vihartum prakritimupeयुष्यad bhava pravaha tribhuvana kamanam kamalavarnam ravikara gauravarambaram dadhane Vapuralakakula Vritananabjam Vijaya Sakhera Terastu Me Nuvadya Yudhituragarajo Vidhumra Vishrak Kachalulita Shramavaaryalam Kritashe Mamanishita Share Vibhidyamana Tvachivilasat Kavachestu Krishna Atma Tamimamahamajam Sharira Bhajam Hridhi deshtitam atmakalpitanam pratidrishyaiva naika धार्कमेकं समधिगतोऽस्मि विधूत भेदमोह जय राधा पार्थ सारथि राधा पार्थ सारथि राधे
जय राधा पट सरथि राधा पट सरथि राधे
जय राधा पार्थ सारथि राधा पार्थ सारथि राधे
जय राधा पट सरथि राधा पट सरथि राधे.
So we'll just read the translations to the first and last verses. Sri Bhishma Dev said, "Let me now invest my thinking, feeling and willing, which were so long engaged in different subjects and occupational duties, in the all-powerful Lord Sri Krishna. He is always self-satisfied, but sometimes, being the leader of the devotees, he enjoys transcendental pleasure by descending to the material world, although from him only the material world is created. Now I can meditate with full concentration upon that one Lord, Sri Krishna, now present before me, because now I have transcended the misconceptions of duality in regard to his presence in everyone's heart, even in the hearts of the mental speculators. He is in everyone's heart. The sun may be perceived differently, but the sun is one." Shri Bhishma Deva ki
Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Hare Kirtan. So at this point, I would like to invite Prabhupada Prabhu to share a few thoughts.
Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sachi, I'm seeing Haridas Prabhu is on. I will humbly request if Haridas Prabhu can speak first. I only came to know Jagannath Sevak Prabhu back in the days, then Mahin Prabhu, through Haridas Prabhu many years ago. So if we can hear from Haridas Prabhu first, would be great.
Hare Krishna. Haridas Prabhu, are you there? Would you like to please unmute and make a contribution?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. My humble obeisances to all the gathered devotees and participants who are on this forum. Jagannath Sevaka Prabhu has been the person that impressed me as a beginner in Krishna consciousness more than any other person in my lifetime of practicing Krishna consciousness. In particular, looking at his background, being someone who very much involved in business activities, family life, and I would say he has really shown to us what this process of Krishna consciousness is all about, how effective it is. I would say from the very beginning, knowing Jagannath Sevaka Prabhu, as many persons know as Mahan in his community, he started very sincerely in the process. He didn't had any reservation in his commitment to the process. He gave us all, I would say, even to the extent where he single-handedly built that temple that is there in Laimpat, and also mobilized the many persons that became the congregation of that temple. His achievement in Krishna consciousness, I would say, is very remarkable. I wouldn't want to think of a second person who could match his commitment to the process. I just heard Paramatma Prabhu speak a little bit about not having the opportunity of being exposed to much training, but that he took it upon himself to get as much training as he could. I remember him requesting me to go there for some of these initial programs, and Prabhupada's night on a Wednesday, and then there were also a program that was planned for devotees training, which was done once weekly. But I'd left for a while, and then I think he took it upon himself to visit to India a few times, take up some training program there, did Bhakti Shastri, got himself initiated, both first and second, and then took it upon himself to manage the project there amidst all the many challenges that is there around him. I just can't think of him leaving us at this point in time when he's so much more needed. I really can't foresee how much we would be able to get things together there for the Divine Path Preaching Program. But again, Krishna is in control, and we can have full faith in whatever the Lord's plans are. Jagannath Sevaka Prabhu would be sorely be missed. I have, tremendous amount of association with him. He was a person that whatever was in his mind, he didn't have reservation to confide, to try to seek advice, seek some guidance. I tried to do that as much as I could during the time we were together. It was indeed a very shocking moment when I heard of his passing away a few days ago. But I know Krishna, the one in control, have better plans for each persons who are participating in this process of Krishna consciousness and preaching his glories. We can only think of it that these things are all happening for the better. And at this point in time, I just really want to share my condolences, my sympathy to all the family members and close relatives, friends, well-wishers. It's a great loss to our society. And I pray that, his destination would certainly be an auspicious one. And also that we can have his blessings in his absence, in spirit. So I think this much I can say at this point in time. I guess I would be making some contribution later on. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
thank
Krishna,
you.
thank you very much, Haridas Prabhu. I remember last moment I just sent this message to Haridas Prabhu that he should be on. I just said to Haridas Prabhu a few minutes ago, if possible, please join now. And I saw Haridas Prabhu immediately, he came on. Thank you very much, Haridas Prabhu. Om Jnana-Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakcharanvalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Kadoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Tamaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinataranam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. I don't know how many persons are aware that I just arrived in Sri Vrindavan Dham. I was just thinking that how sad it is that I, schedule at this point in time to travel the same day that Jagannath Sevak Prabhu depart, leave to come to India and at least to be in Vrindavan Dham for a few days. So I was meditating on what I can do on behalf of not only Jagannath Sevak Prabhu, but on behalf of all the depart Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis that we would have been experiencing within the last few months, from Lochandas Thakur Prabhu, from Buddhi Yoga Prabhu last year to Lochandas Thakur Prabhu, Kaidesh Bhagavan, Mother Revati, Mother Vairagya Lakshmi, then His Grace Abhaya Prabhu last week and a half ago, and now His Grace Jagannath Sevak Prabhu. The best that I could have thought of is just to be in Vrindavan on their behalf, that whatever time I will be spending in Sri Vrindavan Dham, I decided that, it will be solely on their behalf. And while I was in front, Gauranitai, Krishna Balaram and Radhesham, Srila Prabhupada, Tulsi Devi in the temple room here this afternoon, I cannot think of anything else that I can do, or the best I can do is just offer as many obeisances as possible on their behalf. It is overwhelming who to think about first or who to make offering on behalf first, second, third, like that. So randomly, however, the names and personality comes to our memory and our thoughts, we would have made offerings. Then I rush out of the temple. It was all crowded, and go and grab some garlands, Tulsi garland for Radhesham, and lotus garland for Radhesham, another chameli garland for Gauranitai, and come and offer on their behalf. Tomorrow morning we are going to take dip in Ganga and in Yamuna and visit more holy places and temples exclusively on their behalf. And of course, sparing a thought for Hari Kirtan and his Dharmapatni. The fact that he just got married, and I'm here in Vrindavan also to make some offerings on their behalf. So I think that, my being here and not able to be there, I don't know how much difference it would have meant for me if I was there, but I know for me to be here in Vrindavan on their behalf, somehow they added the blessings of the Holy Dham and Yamuna and Govardhan. Tomorrow we'll be in Govardhan, Radhakund, Shamakund. That is the best that we can probably, the best offering that we can probably make, especially at this moment, at this point in time. The fact that Jagannath Deva Prabhu just depart is the best offering that I think that we can do as a yatra on behalf of ISKCON Guyana, on behalf of ISKCON of Guyana Hare Krishna Study Center, all of our members there, on behalf of my family, myself. This is the best that we can probably think about. Regarding saying a few words, I knew, as I just said before Haridas Prabhu came on, that I knew Jagannath Sevak back from Mahin, back in the days, maybe some 30 years or so ago, through his grace, Haridas Prabhu and Madhuchandra Vali. And Haridas Prabhu expressing himself in a very open and humble way. But I have never seen in my time of Krishna consciousness that someone would have took such care of another individual as Haridas Prabhu did with Jagannath Sevak Prabhu, especially in those beginning days, for many, many years. So we were in collections, I think for one Janamastami program. Myself, Haridas Prabhu was driving, myself and Madhuchandra Vali, and this is 1993, 94. And we stopped at one gas station, I think it was Supram gas station of Skellen, Springlands area. And I was introduced, to a friend and well-wisher of the movement back in those days. And of course, I would have been in Panihati time and time again throughout the construction of New Kulinagam We used to come to Crowwood Creek, Stellan area. A lot of our collections used to be on that side. And every time we come, we would go to Mahinpu. And he would always have a donation to give, and he always would smile and have some nice words, supporting words to say to us. But more so the years that he became more inclined to take up Krishna consciousness, it would be when he started. Just a second, please. It would have been just, sorry about that, my Satyamji just arrived in the room here. It would have been more the years that he became more involved when he, after he would have started his own business, his gas station business in 64, and then later on up Line Park. Within those years that Haridas Prabhu would have spent, and other devotees of course, but especially Haridas Prabhu would have spent endless time with him, cultivating, nurturing, directing, and then he himself later on became so inspired to dedicate himself in such wonderful ways that he would have rendered so many service. Our Guru Maharaj, or GBC Vaibhav Prabhu, was very proud and very satisfied with him in many ways, in many services, and our Guru Maharaj, our GBC thought that, he was an important member in that part of the country, setting an example of single-handedly purchasing a property for ISKCON and build a temple, side by side, build a gas station and move there to live next to the temple, almost at the temple. So there would be ongoing services. I cannot say, what a loss of ISKCON Guyana to last two big leaders, Kaitesh Bhagwan Prabhu and now Ahin Prabhu. I went to Rupa Goswami Prabhu room Thursday afternoon and asked Rupa Prabhu what was happening. Why our leaders, senior devotees are going, so quickly one after the other. And he said, Prabhu, that maybe, yes, that, maybe we need to do a Sudarshan Puja. Just that, the movement needs to go on, and the movement will go on based on how powerful leaders we have. So that, that was one thing that I remember. Many things came out of that discussion, but that was one thing that he said. So the fact that I am here in Sri Vrindavan Dham on behalf of the sons of Jagannath Sevak Prabhu, I do hope that I can represent them well in the Holy Dham and the entire families of Jagannath Sevak Prabhu in making these offerings so that Krishna, Radhisham, Sri Krishna Balaram, and Lord Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, Srila Prabhupada, or the Guru Maharaj, blessings will be with him, that his journey will be a safe one, and that he will continue his service to their Lordship, Sri Radhisham. From ISKCON of Guyana Hare Krishna Studies Center point of view, of course, we are ready at any point in time, all the time, to be of service to the Vaishnavi community of ISKCON Guyana and even abroad. So please, we humbly request the family members and all devotees to give us your blessing so that we may be able to continue these services as much as possible. And for the family, please let us know if there is any specific way that you need our help in coordinating and organizing the funeral, to put it on Zoom, to put it on social media, that devotees who may not be able to be in Guyana can still attend even the week kirtan. We can organize all that as long as you have internet. So thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu, to join us from Vrindavan and to make your contribution. So, is there anyone else who are here on the Zoom platform or in a temple room who would like to come forward and say a few words? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, this Dr. Gomes.
Hare Krishna, Dr.
Hare
Gomes.
Krishna. Humble sympathy for the family and
Prabhu, the
Hare
reception
Krishna
is-
Prabhuji. Hello.
Hare Krishna, Dr. Gomes, there's some...
Hare Krishna.
You're breaking up. There's some bad reception.
Yeah, because correct, because we are blackout using cell phone, maybe. In pray Hare Krishna, my deepest sympathy and condolence for the Pro family. I am sorry to hear about it. We lost our wonderful devotee, conscious devotee. Thanks once again. You said and Dev Pro and you said the very good be today to the platform joining there and remembering our dear Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Because by using my cell phone, here blackout since morning. Maybe you didn't hear properly. I'll join later. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna to everybody.
Hare Krishna, Gomes Prabhu. Thank you, and even though we
Yeah,
can...
Prabhu, sorry.
So finally, is there anyone else? So we'll keep you updated, and if we are going to have more of these sessions, we'll inform you from early so that we can have more contributions from the devotees here in Guyana and also for those in the Caribbean and overseas. But for now, we'll conclude this morning's session. We'll go for midday artik here to their lordships, Sri Sri Paramakaranitai Gaurachandra. We once again like to thank all the devotees who would have joined in this morning, even though it was a very short notice. But we really are grateful to you, and we hope to hear from you more for the upcoming sessions. So thank you, everyone. We invited devotees here at the temple to please stand and come forward to the artik ceremony. We would like to invite Her Grace Jalalita Mataji to please come forward to lead us in the midday kirtan. Jaya Paramakaruna Jaya Nitai Gaurachandra Jaya Paramakaruna Jaya Nitai Gaurachandra. Jai Shri Shri Paramakaranitai Gaurachandra ki.
Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine
Namaste Saraswati Deva Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Vasatyadeshatarine
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vasatyadeshatarine
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare. Jaya Parama Karuna Nitai Gaura Chandra, Parama Karuna Nitai Gaura Chandra. Jaya Parama Karuna Nitai Gaura Chandra, Parama Karuna Nitai Gaura.
Jaya
Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Gaura Haribol. Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Gaura Haribol.
Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Satashishimadesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Satashishimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Anantakuti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samabeta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Parama Karuna Nitai Gaura Chandra Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaura Premanandi, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Dalita Hiranyakashipu Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagarisha Hare Jaya Jagarisha Hare Jaya Jagarisha Hare Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagarisha Hare Jai Jagarisha Hare Jai Jagarisha Hare Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagarisha Hare Jai Jagarisha Hare Jai Jagarisha Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare Jaya Nrsimhadev Nrsimhadev Jaya Nrsimhadev Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Jai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaura Hari Bol Jai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaura Hari Bol
Shri Nrsimhadev Bhagwan ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Gaur Premanandi Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. So we want to take this opportunity to thank all the devotees who have been here this morning for today's Sunday Feast program at our temple, Hare Krishna Study Center. For those of you who are here from the beginning, as we said, the program has been done especially as an offering or on behalf of His Grace Jagannath Sevak Prabhu or Mahin Prabhu, who passed away just 2 days ago, last Thursday. Jai Shri Shri Paramakarnitai Gaur Chandra Ki. So we're saying that we lost one very prominent member of our community, His Grace Jagannath Sevak Prabhu. So the program has been done in his honor. And we want to thank all the devotees who have assisted to coordinate this morning the various activities and setting up for the Sunday feast, the cooking, the pujari service, even organizing the temple room and the live stream here. So let us put our hands together for all the devotees. Haribol! We also want to thank all those who joined on our social media platforms, Zoom, Facebook, YouTube, and who would have made various presentations. I want to thank especially Amarajai Lalita for being with us still. As you know, most of the guests have already went back, but Mataji chose to stay and to give us wonderful kirtan. So this is, many of us think that feast is just, prashad. We can just take feast in the Bhojan, in the Prashadam hall. But I think we can have feasts of Kirtan also. Haribol! So thank you, Mataji and Gopal, to be here still. We want to just a few announcements regarding the funeral ceremony of His Grace Jagannath Sevak Prabhu. Is not decided as yet, but we'll keep all the devotees informed. And last evening we went up there, 3 sets of devotees went up there for the wake Kirtan Gita, all the way in Langpat and number 64 village as well. And they came back very late in the night, almost midnight. So we're not sure in terms of what we're going to do. If we're going to do more Kirtan and Zoom sessions here, we'll let you know about that. And also, devotees will be, if we'll be going up back for the week, and then when the funeral is decided, the funeral ceremony, we'll let you know about that. So today's Sunday feast. Just before we go to that, there have been a few birthdays over the last couple of days. On the 23rd, I think was last Wednesday or Thursday was the birthday of Keshava. He was just here in Kirtan, but he went down. So Kevin Kewal Narang, or Keshava, as many of us will call him, he celebrated his birthday. And then Friday gone, our dear Navin Ramnath Prabhu, he celebrated his 50th birthday as well. So this is always known at Hare Krishna Study Center. It's not a new thing that, whenever some devotees depart, others also, their birthdays is always a bitter-sweet kind of occasion. So let us all chant one Mahamantra for these devotees who would have celebrated a birthday over the last few days, and maybe for during this week, who will be celebrating also. Together, loudly. So finally, before we go for lunch prashad, today's Sunday Love Feast has been sponsored by His Grace Prabhupada Prabhu and his family. Includes Hari Kirtan, Pratisha. They took the opportunity to, once to give the devotees a treat. I would say after, all of you have worked so hard for the, for the last week, for organizing and for having everything, the wedding and all the ceremonies and the kirtan and the preparations and everything. So it's a gratitude Sunday feast to all the devotees. So please, take to your fullest satisfaction, and we hope to see you again and again every Sunday for the program. So let us chant out of gratitude to the family. Let us also chant one Mahamantra for their continued service and dedication to the center here. Hare Srila Prabhupada ki. So, Hare Krishna. So we have on the Zoom platform, there is Chris Prabhu. Chris, this is the eldest son of our dear Jagannath Sevak Prabhu. Chris, are you there? Would you like to say something?
Prabhu. Hare Krishna. I just want to extend my deepest gratitude to the members of the Nimai Pandit Study Center for dedicating this sermon on behalf of my father. We absolutely loved it, Srimit Kelly, and everyone's just want to give their heartfelt gratitude for today and everything that you have done for my dad over the years. That's this for now. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Chris Prabhu and your family, it's no doubt very painful, and this is as much as we can do. We want to please call on us anytime we are here, and to give our best to help in this very painful and most difficult time of yours. So please consider us, that we are always there. Please call on us anytime. We are willing to help. Thank you, and Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Satyasuta, everyone.
Yes, Prabhu.
Just regarding the Sunday Love Feast this morning, and of course, first of all, thank Chris to come on. Chris, I hope we can have a few words after this. So regarding this Sunday Love Feast, originally we had thought that we wanted to do a gratitude Sunday Love Feast, properly honor and thank all the wonderful Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, guests, relatives, friends, everyone who would have supported us, business community, for the wedding last week, a week ago. Of course, we took the opportunity to receive the blessings of Jagannath Sevak Prabhu and his family today, but we will reschedule that Gratitude Sunday Love Feast. We'll let everyone know when we can properly arrange that. Let us first focus and honor the passing and the funeral rites and everything else that follows the departure of His Grace Jagannath Sevak Prabhu. And then we will let everyone know when we will be able to put together that Sunday, special Sunday Love Feast. We will be able to honor everyone. And also, as Guru Maharaj said, that we should also plan together Vaishnava Shraddha ceremony. So as long as I am back in about a week and a half or so from India, definitely we will plan that program properly. I wish that we do it before Ratha Yatra, which means before the 16th and 17th weekend of next month. I just want that the devotees keep that in mind. The Gratitude Sunday Love Feast to properly honor everyone. Before Hari Kirtan and Sachi Sutta, before Hari Kirtan and Pratisha leave for India, we also want to do that program to properly thank everybody for the. Of course, in the meantime, on behalf of myself and my family, we want to express our gratitude, our gratefulness to everyone publicly that, for their cooperation, for their presence, for your services, for your well-wishing hearts, your blessings, in so many ways that everyone would have contributed towards the successful celebration and execution of the wedding last weekend. Thank you very much. Please honor Prasadam. The feast was sponsored on behalf of His Grace Jagannath Sevak Prabhu on his passing, and put up after to Srila Prabhupada and their Lordship, Sri Paramakana Nitai Gaurachandra. So when you take Prasadam, you remember Jagannath Sevak Prabhu and you offer your blessings to him, so that his journey back to Krishna will be a safe and blissful one. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
So we can please assemble in Prasadam Hall.